I'm back, guys. We're back at it. We're out in the shop. I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm good enough to be out in the shop tinkering around. So I want to thank you all for the nice get well comments. Seems to be helping. I am getting better. So while I was sick, I had a lot of time to think and actually had a comment that kind of led me to this decision. So we're going to change up a couple things on the kind of the engine transmission placement, just because I wasn't aware they actually make a clocking adapter for the transfer case so that we can basically rotate the transfer case where we want it. So that is going to help out tremendously, because the only reason I raised this engine and transmission up so high is because the end of that transfer case is hanging down probably 5 inches from the rest of the transfer case. Now, if we can take that, because it comes off at an angle like that, if we can take that transfer case, rotate it level, then we can drop everything back down. What that is going to help is basically the transfer case is at an angle here, my rear drive shaft flange is up here, which I had to raise way up. So if we can rotate the transfer case, we can drop it back down. We can drop my rear driveline flange back down and get much better angle like that. And I think I'm also going to give the engine and tranny just a touch more, maybe 1.5 degrees, maybe 2 degrees more of an angle back, and that'll help with the U-joint angle as well. And it's going to help a lot with floor clearance too, just because I'm going to drop everything about 1.5 inches with a 10 or 11 degree tilt, which is one of the settings on that adapter plate. That moves the end of the transfer case about 1.5 inches up. So I can move that up 1.5 inches. I can drop, I'll probably drop the tranny 1.5 inches, and I'll drop the motor a little bit, probably not a whole lot. I don't know, we'll see once we get there. I'm not gonna put out any numbers because I don't know, but I think we're gonna do it. Now, I don't have that adapter plate. No, I couldn't find one anywhere in town, so we're gonna have to order one up. But for now, I think I can just I should be able to just kind of eyeball it, get it close enough, add a little bit of clearance to kind of everywhere around the transfer case, and I think we're gonna do it. The crappy thing is we gotta redo the motor mounts, and that is why I only welded these 3 little welds onto the frame. So we're gonna just redo the part going down to the frame. The part bolted to the motor is gonna be just fine. So we're gonna cut that off. We're going to basically, another thing I wanna do also is, you can see the radiator is pretty close to that alternator, the output for the hose. I think what I'm going to, I can move the radiator forward, but I think because I'm going to redo these mounts, I'm going to move the motor back maybe 1/2 inch just to get a little bit more clearance with that radiator hose. So that is the game plan. I think just moving this around a little bit, tilting it, dropping it, moving it back, I think it's just going to help everything with driveline angles. It's going to help everything with clearance. I think I'll be much happier. Now, this is only possible with that transfer case clocking adapter, so that is going to be a game changer. So let's get started. We got to start cutting out our mounts. I'm just going to drop this thing back on the ground. That way we can get a tranny jack under it. We can get the engine hoist on the engine again, get the motor off of the frame, cut our frame mounts off, and redo those, kind of get everything set back up. And then once we get in that clocking adapter plate, then we can get that on, get that transfer case clocked right. And I think we'll have much better success with our rear drive line. It was actually a Brady Williams that commented, "Now, look at all this extra work you're making me do." I'm just kidding. I appreciate the comment. I appreciate the help. This is actually gonna help out kind of everything with this drivetrain. So thanks for the comment. Now, if you guys have comments like that or suggestions, feel free to drop them down below. If you see something, like I said, I don't know a lot about these LSs. So if there's a little part here and there that you could see that I might be able to use, feel free to comment. I'll check it out. Maybe I could use it. Also, I had a lot of people commenting that they want some of these motor mounts. So if you guys want some, email me. I'll drop my email address down below. If you guys want these mounts, hit me up. I can cut you guys some. Now, these bushings are just from Barnes 4-wheel drive. So I don't stock those, obviously. I just bought those. And then the mounts down to the frame here are kind of like vehicle specific, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to build those for you guys. I can give you just I can guess on something and you can cut it up yourself, but the mounts that bolt onto the motor, those, I mean, should fit just about anything. You just have to adapt the lower mount to your frame. So if you guys do want some of these mounts, just feel free to email me. We'll set something up. this is honestly the hardest part of the build, guys, getting the motor and tranny in the right spot, because it affects everything downstream. And when you come to a problem, if you gotta change these mounts, you gotta change everything else, and it is a major pain in the ass. So I'm taking my time. I've put so much thought into where to place this motor and tranny, the height, the angle, how far forward, how far back, and I think I am satisfied with this spot where it's at right now. So we got about 5 degrees on the motor. Like I said, the motor or the whole truck is a degree back, so we're at about 4 degrees. I'm sacrificing about a 1/2 inch rear driveline length just for some radiator hose clearance. Now you can see I did lower the motor a little bit, about 1 inch, and we have way more room. Before it was going to hit the pulley, now we could come right on top and it's going to clear that pulley. I might drop that down maybe just a 1/4 inch, I mean, it's right about level. I think another 1/4 inch is going to be about perfect. I got the transfer case. That arm's kind of in the way. Transfer case is hanging down about 1.5 inches. So when you rotate that back up, it's going to be nice and flush. Now, originally, I thought this was centered in the truck. Now it is not. It's offset by about 1 inch that way. And when I originally built those mounts, I had this tail shaft centered and it was kind of screwing everything up. So we're kind of killing a few birds with one stone here. I can actually get everything centered perfectly. And with rotating this transfer case, you can see we're about 1.5 inches lower at our flange there. So everything's going to work out so much better with what we're doing. So I'm stoked. Now we just need to mock up some mounts on the frame, get those cut out, welded out, and then we finally got to figure out our transmission mount. All right, we got this bad boy in the air and I am working on this transfer case. So what I'm planning on doing is I got this thing strapped up to the tranny around, kind of pulling it forward. I'm gonna unbolt all the bolts off of the transfer case and I got a strap right around the front yoke over here. and I'm going to take those bolts out, like I said, jack it up, and I'm gonna pivot it like we would with the adapter plate. I'm gonna come up 1.5 inches, or I think it's 11.5 degrees up. So I'll get my digital angle finder on it, get our 11.5 degrees that way, and then we can make our cross member to fit this thing. See, that's what I'm talking about, guys. We got a lot more clearance with this thing rotated up. So it's closer to flat. It's still tilted down this way a little bit, but we got way better clearance. We got a little bit more clearance here for the cross member to come through. So let's grab some tube out. I got 1.75 inch tube that we're gonna make that cross member out of. And then we'll also have to cut off this old cross member mount right there from the old guy. Here we go again, ruining more tube. I have struggled with this tube bending for so long. Now I got the first two bends on this little S bend. I got them correct, and then when I flipped it over to do the other side, I bent it the wrong way. I was thinking I was bending the other bend, which I bent it the wrong way. So we just ruined that piece. We're gonna cut another piece. We're gonna get it right this time. So I don't know, one of these days we gotta figure out how to bend tube in a timely manner. I've already wasted half a day, and all I've done is waste money. So let's see if we can get this right this time. There we go. Holy crap, guys, we did it. Look at that. That's exactly what I was going for. So this is actually the third try. The first try, I bent the wrong bend at first. So that was try number one. That was try number two, a little bit closer, and third time's the charm. So we got it. We almost screwed it up again. This little lock, I've had this thing accidentally flip up and lock this thing, and then when you go to let off, when you got your degrees of your bend, it keeps on bending. So we almost overbent. Well, actually we did overbend it a little bit, but I was able to get it off, and this is actually like the third time it's happened. So we cut that thing off. We're not using it. We're just gonna hold your hand on it and actually get your bends where you want it. Well, there we go. Crossmember is in. We got plenty of room for exhaust right up here. There's probably, I don't know, 6 inches of room above that crossmember. And you can see it is nice tucked up in here underneath. Nothing hanging down from the frame. The only thing is this 1/4-inch plates, which I'm not worried about. So we are looking really good. I am super happy with how that one turned out. Well, that's it, guys. Crossmember turned out really good. It fits really good. And it's almost kind of like that crossmember that we took out. I probably will still add another crossmember in the back, and then in the very back, these frames aren't boxed. They're boxed all the way up to like the rear tire, and then it's a C-channel. So I think I'm gonna box the rest of that frame in, throw a couple more braces in it, and this thing's gonna be stout. But as far as drivetrain mounting goes, we are good to go. We just gotta fully weld in the frame mounts, but other than that, we are looking really good. I'm stoked with how this thing turned out, and I'm really happy with how it's sitting too. There's not gonna be quite as much work with patching the floor with how we rotated that transfer case. So we're still waiting for that plate. I did pick up a plate. It's on the way, the clocking plate for the transfer case. We should have that soon. We can throw that on. But in the meantime, we got a bunch of other stuff to do, so I'm not too worried about that. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Why don't you go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.